I was going to say hi to Bob Wallace, and I don't see him.
He's here.
I'm here. How are you doing?
He's at the top of
Hi,
my.
I'm
He's at the
fine.
top
How are
of my
you?
Hollywood squares.
We have 3 screens of people now, so
Yeah, I know.
depending how you have it set up.
Good.
65.
Yeah, more people coming
Good.
online.
Hey,
I
Uncle
will.
Buzz.
I have started if you want to go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome to International Women's Day, and welcome to our March Tuesday talks. I would like to begin by saying that we will finish promptly at 8. I'm going to do some housekeeping. I'm going to turn it over to Joanna and Rachel. They will run the program. At the end, we will thank our speakers and our organizers, and I will introduce the April session. I would ask that you keep yourself muted so that we maximize the airtime for our speakers and minimize any interference. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat. And I'm sure we're all looking forward to a very exciting, informative session tonight on International Women's Day and Women in Rotary. So I'll turn it over now to Joanna and Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday evening in celebration of Women's Day. I'm quite happy that you decided to join us for a very insightful and inspiring hour. Listening to our guest speakers. We're incredibly blessed this year to have 2 women from the district to our stage, Linda Ryder and incoming district president, Virginia O'Reilly. As Beth had suggested, there's a few housekeeping requests to keep your microphones off and write down your questions, as we do anticipate having some time at the close of both presentations, during which time we'll welcome them. Additionally, we also have some trivia planned, which we hope you'll participate in, as we do have some door prizes. Finally, I'd like to ask that you look towards the bottom of your screens where you can see a button called Reactions, where you can click on your desired emotion, such as laughing, crying, applauding, or giving a thumbs up. Or this is where you can also raise your hand that you can see, so that we can see you. We have about 135 people attending tonight, so we are a large crowd. This is great. Most importantly, of course, this evening could have not have gone off without a lot of help. A massively huge thank you to the Committee of Women that have been helping me out to make this evening a success. Thank you for being here, for celebrating women in District 7070, and of course, women in Rotary. I'd like to turn it over to Bev.
Thank you. I'm going to do a traditional blessing this evening. We want to thank the original stewards of the land, the Mississaugas, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Iroquois, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people. It is because of them that we have this opportunity to appreciate the forest, the water, the animals that inhabit these lands, residing on their traditional territories under the Silver Covenant Chain and Treaties 13, 19, and 20. It is important that we commit and work with the Indigenous people to understand our mutual responsibilities and the ongoing stewardship of the lands on which we learn, share, and live. Let this responsibility guide our decisions and be beneficial to all concerned, including future generations, so they can too benefit from and experience this beautiful place. So our first video will be a first speaker, and also she is a first. This lady really needs no introduction to many people, while she perhaps is known for being the first woman to become the president of Rotary Club. She did do many more things besides. She has served as a club president twice at a Rotary Club in Duarte, and various times served as the club secretary, treasurer, foundation representative. At a district level, she has chaired the ambassadorial scholarship committee for 6 years and has been the assistant governor, presenter, institutes, and speaker to Rotary clubs, conventions and meetings in the US as well as overseas. Please join me in welcoming an introduction by Sylvia Whitlock.
Good evening. I'm so happy to be here with you. I really applaud you for recognizing the International Year of the Woman. You know, President Sheikh Almeida has made this the empowerment of women, he's put it on the top of his agenda for this year. So the fact that you're doing this is really good. If we take time to look at women empowered just a little bit, women who have gone on to be examples for us, examples that have been inspiring to us, just a few of them. Oprah Winfrey, from a poor childhood, really has become a woman that all women look up to and listen to. You know, Oprah Winfrey's story is interesting. Maya Angelou, from the same poor beginning, and we quote her all the time. But probably the youngest of the three that I'm going to mention, Malala. Malala, oh my goodness. After surviving an attack on children seeking, girls seeking an education, she went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize and to be someone we listen to all the time. So we're listening to stories of women empowered because it helps us. You know, Christopher Nichols said, women hold up half the sky. Women hold up half the sky. So we're holding it up. And I applaud you for doing this program today. I wish you all the success that you can have with this program. Good evening. The fact that you're doing this is really good. If we take
It's my pleasure tonight to introduce our first guest, Linda Ryder. I would like to begin by acknowledging Linda's commitment to Rotary for over 30 years. Linda joined the Rotary Club of Etobicoke in 1989. In 1991, Linda became club president. Linda served as District 7070 governor in 2007, 2008, and district trainer from 2007 to 2013. Linda is currently District 7070 protection officer. Tonight, Linda will share her knowledge and experiences of Rotary and how she has been breaking the bias. Good evening, Linda.
Good evening.
My first question for you is, why do you think it's been a long journey for women to find their place in Rotary?
Well, I could say it really has been a long journey, and my journey is not over yet. Thank goodness. As you know, overall, our society really doesn't support women in high-level leadership roles. That's not in Rotary, though. We're coming along quite nicely. Women could have been at the top of their class, written a novel, have a gold medal from the Olympics, but unfortunately, our society has shown us that leadership is embedded in masculinity. Personally, there are a few lessons that I have learned from being a Rotary woman leader. Number one, you can't do anything by yourself. It takes a team of ideas and dreams to support any project. And number two, as a Rotary woman, you need to find your purpose, and Rotary has given that. I've got lots to choose from, the 7 areas of focus. It's been helpful for me to combine my feelings about caring in my business and also my feminine feelings about caring for people. Culture and change happens, but it only happens one step at a time. Or using the total quality term, how do you need an elephant? One bite at a time. Thank you.
What was your first meeting like, Linda?
Well, as you mentioned, that I joined Rotary in 1989, but not after much soul searching. My beginnings were very rocky. I was ignored. I was treated as an oddity. The luncheon was at the old mill, and I walked into the room being the only woman there. I wasn't sure if I belonged there. In fact, I could feel sort of some tensions in the room, and nobody greeted me. I didn't know if I should stand or sit. it turns out I was right. About 25% of the men in that room had voted against women belonging to Rotary in our club. But I was treated to a lovely song. Road to the Isles was played. The head table was piped in, and then we were invited to sit at a table. So, and then I was treated to my very first Rotary conversation. It was by a lovely young man in his 90s, by the way. And he asked me, "Are you a Yui?" I said, "What in the world?" In my head, not to him. I was very polite. It turns out it meant United Empire Loyalist. And if you know that my great great uncle was William Lyon Mackenzie, he was that sort of a rebel, and he led the farm against the family compact and led them down Yonge Street. So I guess I wasn't a Yui, but I know I really probably didn't belong at all. But I thought, well, maybe there's some purpose here. The gentleman that invited me was a gentleman by the name of Keith Russell. And Keith said to me, "Oh, just come and you'll enjoy yourself." And but he wasn't even there. He didn't even show up to the meeting. So I thought they were asking me to be there because I was the district commissioner for Girl Guides. And this club had built Piper's Hill, which is near Loretta, Ontario. And I thought, well, maybe they wanted me to speak. So they obviously didn't want me to speak. They probably thought the more or less I said, the better it would be. So I left that first meeting full of curiosity and bewilderment. And I said to my dad, "Do you know anything about Rotary?" And he shared with me that during the Second World War, Rotary played a significant part in dropping care packages to the troops. And he said, I know that about Rotary, and I know how much that feeling of home was appreciated. But he said, "Why in the world would you want to join a men's club? You have 4 brothers. Isn't that enough?" But anyways, I wanted to take a look at what was happening. And that wonderful gentleman, Keith, called me, and he said, "Please come back, please." He was so enthusiastic and wonderful, and he was a real good leader in our community. So I went there wasn't computers in those days, so I went to the library and looked it up. And I thought, you know what? That inspired me. And I went to the second meeting, and I realized that invitation was a gift. And in time, I felt a real connection to the greatest vision worldwide, with words I can lead with and live with every single day. So that's my first meeting at Rotary.
Okay, that's amazing. Linda, what would you say has been the most memorable time or experience thus far in your Rotary journey?
Well, I call it my magic moment. And that magic happened in Australia when I attended the Rotary Convention in 1993 in Melbourne, Australia. I walked into the now named, I think it's Rod Laver's tennis arena. And we had 2 seatings. I was in the second seating. I walked into this room and it was an arena, and my breath was taken away. I can still feel excited just talking to you about it. I saw the polio vaccine being given on stage. I met in an Australian home for home hospitality. I can still evoke that wonderful feeling and that overwhelming feeling. We visited New Zealand. I sang Amazing Grace with Bob Scott, in an underground glowworm cave. I went on a wonderful train ride with Anne. Wilf was there. I evidenced sheep shearing, say that 3 times, by the way, and met the most wonderful, caring people I have ever met. I felt a kinship and strong connection with these fellow Rotarians for helping many, many ways in our community. And Rotary has helped me personally to become a powerful, soulful leader, although a different leader.
And one last question for you tonight, Linda. What do you get out of Rotary and what makes you stay?
Well, I tell you what I get out of it are a lot of meetings. I think I've had 4 this week already. And but I'll tell you, the most important thing to me is the special learnings and these friendships. The ability to put my ideas into action. It doesn't happen in business. You have to fight your way to get your ideas heard and thought of. In Rotary, you're listened to as a woman and as a man. I've been able to experience diversity, and I think about what has Rotary done to change me, and I think I have changed. I still ask for directions, which all women do. Being part of a team really excites me. I love sharing the success of projects, and that encourages me and spurs me on. And I guess Rotary has permitted me a safe space for failure and growth. I remember seeing a button at one of the Rotary conventions, and it stated, "Don't be afraid to fail." It stated, "Be afraid not to try." And with Rotary, I felt I didn't have to prove myself again and again, as sometimes women do in business. I am one of Wilf's green jacket ladies, and you can see how well they have done. Jennifer Jones, Dean was one, and myself. I don't put myself in their category, but Rotary does connect us to who we truly are and what actually matters in our soul. Rotary can give our lives meaning and purpose. It has empowered and supported men and women and allowed them to shine in their roles. And I think it's sort of high times that we put our notions of gender roles in the workplace to rest, in the workplace, which I believe Rotary has done so, although we're still at 30%. And I just saw something from the Osler law firm that only 23% of women are on boards on the Toronto Stock Exchange. I've been very, very lucky. I've been on a board, I've been a director with my organization for over 25 years. So they were sort of ahead of their times. So I think women excel when given opportunity, but also so do men. So what it takes to develop a good leader, whether male or female, is their own willingness to develop given the opportunities for growth through challenging job assignments, and we have that. So when you think about it, it took over 500 years for women to become leaders in the church. I think Rotary's about 85 now. But I would like to leave you with a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. She said, "A woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets into hot water." Thank you.
Well, thank you, Linda. I appreciate you sharing your time with us tonight, and you are a true inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa and Linda both. And Linda, after listening to your first Rotary meeting, I'm so proud of you for coming back. And I think on behalf of everybody, so thankful that you came back because you've been a wonderful part of 7070.
Thank you.
So we're going to use this minute in between our next interview to do a trivia question. I do ask that you answer the trivia in the chat, and it's an opportunity to win one of 2 books. We have Sylvia Whitlock's book, which is all about her story becoming the first woman Rotarian. And we also have a book from District 7070's own Mary Grogan. So I'm going to ask a question. If you know the answer, put it in the chat, and you'll have a chance. First one to answer will have a chance to win one of these 2 books. Here it goes. In what year did Rotary International terminate the Rotary Club of Duarte, California, for allowing women in the club? Haven't seen it yet. Bob's getting close. Closest is Janet. I don't see it yet.
Not yet.
All right, well, I'm just gonna, unless I'm gonna.
Oh, no,
Oh, there we go.
Steve.
Steve Code. There
Steve
you go.
Code.
All right, Steve Code. I'm gonna hand it over now to Effie and Virginia O'Reilly. Over to you, Effie.
Thank you so much. Please welcome incoming District Governor Virginia O'Reilly. Virginia was the first female president of Toronto East Rotary Club in 2001, 2002, and was the president again in 2021-22. In addition to being president, Virginia has served as club secretary, chair of membership, chair of foundation, and chair of youth during her 20 years with the club. Her District 77 roles have included the positions of assistant governor, youth chair, membership chair, promoter of Grow Rotary workshops, membership on the Rotary Foundation Committee, and on organizing committees for 2 district conferences. Good evening, Virginia.
Hello, Effie. Just let me, I need to clear my screen here. I'm hoping, okay, mute's off. We're all good, right?
Yes.
That's
Are you
good.
ready for your first question?
Thank you, Effie. Yes, I'm ready for my first question.
Okay. So here, who inspires you, Virginia?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Joanna and you and the rest of your team for inviting me to participate, because working on organizing this, all of you have inspired me. But it's also given me pause to sit back and think about the women Rotarians who I have the pleasure to call friends, and the ones I have yet to meet. So if I started to name individuals, that would do it for the rest of the evening, let alone our hour. I would like to acknowledge the 5 women district governors we've had in District 7070. We began in 2005-2006 with Joan Hayward from the Alliston Club. Linda Ryder was next, then followed by Valerie Wafer in 2013-14, Mary Lou Harrison in 2018-19, and Beth Selby in 2019-20. Now, I wanted to mention them all because these are inspiring women, and I've learned something from watching each one of them in action. And actually, and from watching Rotarians react to them and their leadership styles. So that is, I think, something pretty interesting. But I have to say that the person who brought home to me the need to champion women in Rotary is past District Governor Mary Lou Harrison. She is a tireless promoter for us, and I thank you. I'm also very inspired by the younger women Rotarians I meet. I'm inspired by their strong conviction for themselves and for other women, not just in Rotary, but in their work and in their relationships with others. I think it's really given me some enlightening moments. And what I find even more interesting is I'm seeing some of those same attitudes from our younger male Rotarians. And perhaps this is because they have spent more time seeing females in the workplace and seeing female leaders. There's definitely a different mindset there, or different attitudes. And I think that's important because respect for each other's capabilities and talents is what is going to drive our organization forward. So not only gender, but diversity, equity, and inclusion on all fronts. And last but not least, I need to give a nod to the women Rotarians in my own club. You all inspire me.
Wow. Okay. What do you think, Virginia, the future holds for women in Rotary?
Oh, I think the sky's the limit now. I mean, it took quite a while for women to get to leadership positions in Rotary. We're achieving wonderful things. This year, the first woman RI president in Jennifer Jones, Vice President Valerie Wafer, Trustee Dean Roars. We're making our mark. So the Rotary year of 2022-23 will be a landmark year. It's certainly a long way from Sheila Whitlock becoming the first woman president in the Rotary world. But this is only the beginning. We can't rest on our laurels. We need to celebrate our women Rotarians, all of them, and particularly those who step up to leadership roles. Now that might be the president of the club, or it might be the leader for a project. Just whenever a woman steps up, we need to celebrate and support them. Because the path won't always be smooth. Help women be leaders, give them our support, be them. Like, rather than just supporting, be them. Toss your hat in the ring. And let everyone know we're paying attention and that we expect women to continue to fill key roles. This is not a one and done year. Okay.
Thank you, Virginia. Okay, my next question. What strategies can work well to promote inclusion of women in Rotary, and what are some of the more systemic ways that female Rotarians can make a difference within their own clubs?
Well, I think what's interesting is that I can apply the principles of including anyone in a Rotary club, like good membership principles, and focus them on the women in our clubs. So just like showcase the women in your clubs and what they're doing. Our PR group did a great article on our president, Shahanor. She is, it's in our newsletter. It's a great focus on her role as Rotary president in our club. So do that in your clubs. Showcase the women Rotarians in your club. Invite potential women members to your meetings. You know, make them feel welcome. Be sure you're there to meet them and greet them when you invite them, and have conversations with women, Rotarians and non-Rotarians. Find out what they believe Rotary should give them, or should provide for them if they're being if they're interested in Rotary, interested in being a friend of Rotary, or interested in being a Rotarian. Find out what they want to do. Talk to your women members and what projects do they want to work on. Showcase them. Get to work on those projects. And I think the other thing is that your women and men Rotarians need to have those conversations jointly. I think Linda has said it. We don't do these things alone. We do them collectively and collaboratively. We exchange ideas. That's how we make great projects and get great things done. I wanted to add one, let me see. Oh, not just women and men, but these conversations have to happen regardless of gender, sexual identity, age, ethnicity, religion, or life limitations. We need to get rid of all biases. And I still have to say this, be cognizant of comments, humor, stories that are not appropriate. And you might think I'm aiming that at men, but no, women as well. So just realize the words that come out of your mouth. Think before you say. And if you feel something is offensive, point it out. Whether it's, again, gender, sexual identity, age, ethnicity, religion, life limitations, include everybody.
Thank you, Virginia, for that very important reminder. Okay, last question, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
On International Women's Day, on today, what is the most important advice or message you would like to share that you have gained through your involvement in Rotary?
You know what? I actually have 3 pieces that oh, maybe it's 4. Look at this. So first of all, ask questions, don't assume. We spend a lot of our lives, oh, so-and-so did something, they must be angry at me, or they must think this, or they must think that, or they must want this, or they must want that. Don't assume. Ask questions. Nicely, but ask questions and when you ask a question or when you're listening to someone, be an active listener. Don't listen with half your attention. Don't listen with, half listening to them and then half listening to that little voice in your head that's thinking about the response even before you've heard the person out. So give people your full attention, whether or not you agree with them. You might find some common ground, and typically it's a way as Rotarians we generate some great ideas. It's like this 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it actually equals 3. We come to some great projects. Be respectful. We all want to be heard, but we need to promote an atmosphere of mutual respect. And I think, Effie, the first time I said this, you said, well, what do you mean by respect? So I thought about that for a while, and it really is, if someone is trying to communicate an idea, let them finish their thought. Resist the temptation to cut them off because you think you know what they're going to say. Just think of it this way. If you're cutting a person off, you are telling them that their ideas are not important enough to be heard. It's not a great way to build a network or to get a team together. So bite your tongue. I do it a lot. I have to keep doing it. Just don't cut people off. Listen to what they have to say. And be positive. Try out your ideas. As I said before, work collaboratively with all of your Rotarians. I think those are 4 key things. I mean, we just passed 117 years for Rotary. So the next 117 can be even better with all Rotarians, regardless of gender, sexual identity, age, ethnicity, religion, or life limitations. We all work together to take action and create lasting change. It'll be a great 117 years forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your insight. And I feel like I have a fire lit under me right now. So you're very inspiring and motivating. Thank you. Okay, I will pass it along to who's next? I believe we are doing another trivia. Beverly.
Right, so we have a really interesting trivia question right now, and I think it's very relevant on the day. In 1950, at a Rotary convention, a club proposed an enactment to delete the word male from the standard Rotary Club constitution. Where was this club located? And your answers can go in the chat. Thank you. Oh, yep, she got it right.
Yep, Mary Lou got it right. So Mary Lou, I will reach out to you privately and we'll arrange for whichever door prize you would like. I've posted them before, the books, but I will post them again for everyone. Rachel, I think we might have time for one more trivia. Do you have the final question?
I do have another trivia question. Okay. In what year did incoming Rotary International President Jennifer Jones first join Rotary? Close. Not there yet. Not quite. Whoa, oh, we got it. We got it. We got it. We got it.
Naveen.
Naveen, yes.
Okay, it was 1997.
Wonderful. And we'll pass it over to Lisa now.
All right, so we're entering our Q&A portion of tonight's event. I would ask if you have any questions, if you could put them in the chat for our guest speakers tonight.
Also welcoming any stories. So if we have people that had some great stories, women that have motivated them, their own experiences joining Rotary as women, men on seeing women join Rotary, I'd love to hear some stories.
Can you hear me, Rachel?
Yes, Linda, I can.
Bob Wallace asked me about the gentleman, Cy Salter, who fell asleep on my shoulder. He was a great guy, but I remember going to his funeral quickly after I joined Rotary, by the way, and his coffin was decorated with the Union Jack and his army helmet and sword crossed. And of course, it was the songs that were played were Onward Christian Soldiers, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. So that's the gentleman who fell asleep on my shoulder.
Thank you, Linda.
I have another question, Rachel, I can ask. To either Virginia or Linda. I was thinking when people ask me, what is Rotary? They're like, is that a religious group? And I say, no, it's not. How can we encourage more women to join Rotary? And if, in your words, either speaker or both, what would you say, what is your elevator pitch for Rotary? What is Rotary? And I'm fairly new. I've been here, I can't even, the pandemic time stood still. So I think 2.5 or 3 years. But I'd love to hear kind of, what would you say to someone to encourage them to join, and what exactly is Rotary, if we had to summarize it in a quick elevator pitch? Does either the speakers want to take that on?
I could very, I mean, I have heard about elevator pitches for many years, and we've thought about them and talked about them. But I think the best thing in lieu of an elevator pitch is invite them to a Rotary Club meeting, or join a project, or I mean, just talking about Rotary really doesn't get it across. You got to be part of it and meet your fellow Rotarians. Be on an evening like tonight, where you could certainly see these wonderful smiling faces and count them all as your friends. And that to me is a great elevator pitch. Virginia?
Yes, you know what, I think probably one of the best elevator pitches is our, actually, I believe it's called our vision statement now. I found it difficult to say exactly what Rotary is until this vision statement came along. And it really is, we are, I'm paraphrasing, yes. We are a group of people who together take action to create lasting change in the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. I think that's a great, just a great one-liner to tell people what we do. And then a couple of projects about our, 1 or 2 examples of some of the great projects you've been involved in. And if it's a project that you really believe in, your eyes will light up. You'll be so excited. They will get the spirit. And I just wanted to add to that. The newest member in my club said, she related a story where she was telling her friends that she was to join Rotary. And of course, same as Linda's dad, they said, why would you join a club of old men? And she said, well, no, there's there's women in our club too. There's quite a few women Rotarians. And the next time she met them, she went with the list of all the projects that we'd done in 2020 during COVID. And right away, their reaction was, wow, you guys did a lot. You do a lot. And look at the great projects. So that's just that spirit and infection, I think, excitement. I think that goes a long way.
Thank you. Rachel, I do see a hand up and I see Joe Solway question in the chat as well. So I believe
Yes.
John Burns had his hand up first.
It's not John, it's
Oh.
it's me. It's Pauline Calvert, and I joined Rotary in 1992, and I had very positive welcoming within my club. And at that time, attendance was very important. It was stressed, and I wanted to be such a good member, and I was never going to miss a meeting. And I went to lots of meetings in the district, and when it was time to go on holiday, and I'm in Bermuda, and the hotel I was staying in had the Rotary wheel, but it didn't say when the meeting time was. So I went up to the desk and I says, when does the Rotary Club meet? And the chap lifted his eyes and said, the Lioness ladies meet on Wednesday morning. And I said, no, when does the Rotary Club meet? And he, well, the Rotary Club meets on Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. So at Thursday evening at 5 o'clock, I go down to where the Rotary meeting is, and I'm with my husband, not this guy.
Another one.
Another husband. And they immediately went walking towards him and shook his hand and said, welcome, what club do you belong to? And he says, oh, not me. It's my wife that's the Rotarian. And their faces dropped. And they said, well, I'm very sorry, but we don't allow women in our club. And I says, well, I've never missed a Rotary meeting. I've been a member for over a year now. And Rotary International has mandated that women can have membership in this club. So I am coming to your meeting tonight. So I went into the meeting, and no one really spoke to me. I sat at a table with my husband. And when the meeting started and the president introduced guests, and he called my name for me to stand up, and they all stamped their feet and thumped their hands on the table and says, she's a Rotarian, boo. And so I says, Mr. President, I demand that every one of these Rotarians be fined for this behavior. And everybody laughed. And from then on in, it was fine. By the end of the meeting, they were welcoming me, inviting me to lunch. And so, but it was a very interesting first attempt at going to a meeting like that. Went back to Bermuda 2 or 3 times after that, went to the club and was welcomed. And by that point, they had women in the club.
Joe Solway has a question for our speakers. His question is, women are more prominent than ever in Rotary. What do you say to men who think they are threatened by that?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I've never had a man come up to me ever say, I don't think he had the courage to say it. But I have an interesting experience. When I was in Australia, the presidents were supposed to meet in a room, and I went into the room and they wouldn't let me in. And they said, the Sheilas aren't allowed in this room. So I've experienced some of that, but usually, from over 30 years, most men are very respectful and welcoming. That's been my experience. And I have 4 brothers. I can put their name out on a contract, so they're scared.
Take my hand
I have to agree with Linda. I haven't really I don't know that I've experienced that. Now, mind you, sometimes there's a lot of things that can fly right over my head, and that may be an advantage. And I will have to say that some of my biggest supporters in Rotary have been our male Rotarians. So I've had lots of help from everyone. And I don't know, it's just, you know, are you threatened by your wife, your sister, we do so many great things together. And I think it's collectively, just that the whole spectrum of diversity helps us do so many things better, and with an eye to not leaving anyone out. So hopefully they can take that.
All right, there is a question. Amy, you have a question for our speakers?
I don't have a question. I have more of a comment, if that's okay. I'm the current president of the Bowmanville Rotary Club, and we have a very special thing going on here in Bowmanville. Not only do we have me as a female president coming into our next female president, Rachel, who is right below me on my screen, but Rachel is also the daughter of Pauline, who was our first female president. So I think you were first, right, Pauline?
No,
I
was second.
You were second, yeah. So I think I'm third. Rachel's.
You're the fifth.
I'm the fifth. Sorry, but we have our first, I think, mother-daughter of being a female president Rotary clubs or presidents. So that's very exciting. And just on a personal note, I want to say hello to Vern Barney. I don't know if Vern's on, I see his daughters with him there. He's from our Toronto club. He's actually my husband's uncle. So this is my little family connection. I haven't seen him in a while. So I wanted to say hi, Uncle Vern.
I think we have time for one more question or story if anyone has one. No? Okay. Well, we've got one more closing video, and many of you may have heard of Nadine Pemberton. Nadine Pemberton, when I first knew and met virtually Nadine is when she started Rotarians Against Racism, the Facebook group. And she came and spoke to our club on why this was important to her. Now she is on the Rotary International Task Force for DEI, and she has a wonderful message for us.
Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're all well, and I'm sure that you've had a fantastic time at the Rotary District 7070 International Women's Day Tuesday talks. It's really good to talk, isn't it? And I'm sure that after this evening, there'll be lots for everybody to talk about. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nadine Pemberton Baptiste. I'm a Rotarian from England. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Sheffield, and that's in Yorkshire. That's where the accent's from. And I'm also a member of Rotary International's Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Task Force. And for me, I really care about diversity, equity and inclusion, and I love what your district is doing for DEI and also in this area around women and women's equality. So, you know, the theme for this year's International Women's Day, as you know, is Break the Bias. And we know we've got a lot of work to do in this area, but we're people of action and we're here to do that work. And so what are we working with? Well, a couple of years back, the United Nations Development Programme did a Gender Social Norms Index, really interesting. And that told us that 90% of people are biased against women. I didn't say 90% of men. I didn't say 90% of non-binary people. 90% of people are biased against women. So we have a lot of work to do. And yes, there's been progress in this area, and work is taking place around the world to close the equality gap. But, you know, 91% of men and 86% of women hold at least one bias against women. That might be in relation to politics, economics, education, violence, or reproductive rights. So we really need events like this International Women's Day event, We need to get together, we need to talk, and we need to take action. And it can just be one small thing. It can be thinking about our own biases, because of all the people in the room, 90% of the people in the room have a bias in relation to women. So let's look at ourselves first, and let's really see where we can make a difference. Let's challenge our biases as women in relation to ourselves, and let's hold other people accountable and ask them to stand up for us and challenge biases right across the piece. I'm so proud to be here and to say thank you to all for a wonderful event. I'm sure there will be lots more good things to come over the next month, the next years, and so forth. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening.
Beth, we can pass it over to you if you like right now.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. And I'm going to ask District Governor Ron Dick to give some thanks to our organizers and our speakers, please.
Thanks, Beth. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Joanna and Rachel, for a great program tonight. You know, I grew up in a household with 6 sisters as the only son, so I kind of came out of that with a different view to this whole thing as someone that lived in the minority. I'm going to spend the rest of my year trying not to get slapped up the side of the head by one of Linda's tea bags. And Virginia, you asked me if my wife intimidates me, and now that she's the secretary of our club, I have nowhere to hide. So I'm looking forward to the day that we can have these celebrations, just to have a celebration, not as a catch up or as a correction. I had the pleasure of inducting the first female Rotarian in District 7010 in Sudbury in 1988. And I didn't think it was any big deal. Muriel Moran was a great individual in our community and served the Sudbury Rotary Club for many, many years. And we just got to keep doing what we're doing and making sure that all the great people, whether they're men or women, are introduced to Rotary and join our clubs. So I'd like to say thank you to Linda Ryder and Virginia O'Reilly, 2 ladies that I have the opportunity to work with in our district leadership team that contribute so much to our district as a protection officer, and in Virginia in our membership capacity. And as a memento of tonight, we're going to make a donation to the Rotary Foundation for your talk tonight, Linda and Virginia. Thank you again, and keep up the good work. We really need your leadership in our district leadership team.
And a special thank you to Joanna and Rachel for organizing a great program tonight. My sincere thanks to the 2 of you and everyone else that you had involved in helping you make a great program tonight. I just want to take a moment to tell you about our focus for our April Tuesday Talks. The title is going to be on human trafficking. We have 2 police officers from the Cobourg Police Service. We have Janice McDonald, who is the acting staff sergeant of operations, and Daniel McKean, who is a detective constable. And they're going to talk about the red flags, the signs of human trafficking, including the stages of grooming and risk factors for victims. So I think that'll be a really, really interesting presentation. Dr. Bob and I have heard them at our club speak in the past, but these ladies have a very powerful presentation. So I invite you to register and attend our presentation on, I believe, I'm just going to check my calendar. I think it's April the 12th. It is April the 12th for our April Tuesday talk. So if there are no further questions, comments, I want to thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in a month's time. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.